What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lex Alexas. It feels great to be back, it feels great to have championship football back and to have no international breaks for 4 months. Yes, I am very pleased that we're going to have a really busy period coming up of championship games and there's no time to waste. We go straight into it, match day 17. As always guys, make sure you leave your score predictions in the comments down below regarding the championship so you guys can score points for the Let's Alexas Football Prediction League, which is fully up to date and fully caught up as well, which you will be getting constant updates on my community tab. Regarding the Premier League fixtures, they are on the left hand side of the screen right now. You guys can always leave your predictions for the Premier League if you like. They won't count towards the prediction league, but I always like to predict them just for a little bit of fun. So feel free to predict those games as well in the comments down below. If you guys enjoy what you see, please smash the like button on this video. It does really help the growth of this channel. Let's go for 50 likes. It will be a tremendous achievement for this channel. Please do hit the subscribe button too, because all these things really do help the growth of this channel. And sharing the video will also really be massively appreciated. But without any further ado, let's start predicting these weekend's games. We're going to preview first tomorrow's game, a Yorkshire derby between Rotherham and Leeds United. I'm going to be intrigued to see the outcome of this game. Rotherham are going into this game still without a permanent manager, I should say, in charge, because they have dismissed Matt Taylor during the international break or towards the start of it, and they still not reappointed anyone despite the lengthy period that they had of no football. You would think with the lengthy time away from competitive games that they would have appointed one by now, but as a recording at least, Rotherham have not announced anyone as of yet, and they will have to try and deal with arguably one of the more trickier teams in the league. Leeds United are going into this game on 31 points, definitely going to try and intend to chase Ipswich and Leicester, of course. And Leeds will be going to this game, not with a full team. I'm pretty sure Rutter is not going to be available within this game. There could also be doubts with the Welsh players in this team in Rodon, Ampadu and Dan James having been involved for Wales in the qualifiers as well. It could be a chance for Rotherham to potentially get something over Leeds for the fact that they're likely not going to have their strongest team. However, despite that, I do think what Leeds have in their disposal is almost an embarrassment of options going forward, and I do think that can take the game away from Rotherham, despite them maybe having some form of aerial threat. But as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Leeds United. I think it's going to be the most realistic option within this game. But let me know what you think in the comments down below. We're now going to go on to Saturday's games. Let's start off with Birmingham going up against Sheffield Wednesday. It is still no win for Wayne Rooney as Birmingham manager, and you'd think in this game it should be the biggest opportunity he's ever going to get with getting 3 points here. Now, Birmingham at home have been quite good. They've only had one home defeat all season, and I do think their home performances have relatively been a little bit unlucky on their part. I know their recent one against Ipswich, for instance, where they went 2-0 up, that was just really down to not being able to finish the game off and just having poor game management, sadly. They're facing a Sheffield Wednesday side where you could argue they've had encouragements with Danny Roll coming in, but then they get shot back down to earth within their last result before the international break, ending in a 4-0 home defeat to Millwall. And as a prediction here, I unfortunately don't really have a lot of confidence in Sheffield Wednesday in this game, despite Birmingham not winning since Wayne Rooney has come in. As a prediction, I think Wayne Rooney is going to get his first win as Birmingham manager, and I think it'll be a 2-0 victory to Birmingham. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Bristol City, and they are facing Middlesbrough. I'm intrigued of this because we saw a glimpse of what Liam Manning can be doing with this Bristol City side, but I think this is now going to be a real test for Bristol City, and I think we are going to start getting a good idea of what Liam Manning is going to be wanting for this Bristol City side, having that he has had a full international break to implement his tactics in place. Middlesbrough, on the other hand, are having brilliant results. They are climbing up the table, and they ended, just before the international break with a terrific result against top of the league Leicester City. Sam Greenwood getting the only goal from a free kick and winning by 1-0. And Middlesbrough have shown that they can get results against teams around them. And I think away from home, Middlesbrough have actually considered me being pretty solid actually. And as a prediction here, I think that form is going to continue. I have a tiny bit more confidence in Middlesbrough with their options. Bristol City could take a tiny bit of time before they click and play at their best with a new managerial coming in with a style that's going to have to be implemented too. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Middlesbrough. I think it'll be quite close though. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Huddersfield versus Southampton. So Huddersfield ended, their form with a defeat against Hull City before the international break here. And it was pretty one-sided, unfortunately, for Huddersfield. And since Darren Moore has come in, he's had a couple of good home results. But on the whole, especially in the last couple of games or so, where they've been really leaky at the back, Huddersfield have just not looked likely that they are going to get results. And they're not chugging out the amount of points that they would have wanted to have been getting, since Darren Moore took over from Neil Warnock. They are now facing a Southampton side where I think things are slowly but surely starting to click into place for Southampton. But my issue is can they sustain it? Because I do think the Southampton side does go through a little bit of a streak here and there. If they can now sustain that good form throughout this busy period within the season, Southampton will not only, for me, guarantee enough firepower to stay within the top 6, but they definitely have the star quality in that squad to go for promotion places. They just need to improve their consistency, as I can say, because they've definitely got the talent for it. As a prediction here, I think Huddersfield will make things a little bit difficult. But despite that, I do think Southampton will get enough for a win. I'm going to say a 1-0 victory to Southampton. I think it'll be a bit similar to when they snuck a 1-0 win over Millwall. And I know Huddersfield have been able to shut teams down successfully. I would think of their 0-0 draw recently against Watford. But I do think Southampton's team just has a tiny bit more going for them. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Speaking of Watford, they are going to be the next team I predict, and they are facing top of the league, Leicester City. So it doesn't really get more tricky than this, but Watford are going into this game actually more informed from Leicester, because Leicester have lost back-to-back games going into this match. Now, albeit there are two very tough games for Leicester to lose against third place Leeds, and to also lose against Middlesbrough, who are now starting to improve with their form. And Leicester will want to really hit back, and I think to have a really good run of form. And I do think they have a decent run leading into December actually, and I do think Leicester can take advantage of that. Win Watford, so they've been doing quite well with their form. I think they've got a 5-game unbeaten run at the moment, but they have been playing against teams around them and lower down of the table. If they can get good results, even just getting draws against teams way above them, I think it's then proving to me that Watford are capable of getting results with the top half of the table teams. But Watford currently are sitting in 13th, and that's definitely not where their expectations would have been right at the start of the season. So a lot to work on for Watford. I do think Leicester's going to be a very tremendous test, and it's been a cracking game to see these two sides play against each other in recent memory. But I do think, as a prediction, I think Leicester are going to hold out for a win. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win to Leicester. Again, I think it's going to be close, but I think Leicester, with enough options in their midfield and attack, I think will carry the game away. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game today is Millwall going up against Coventry. So, both of these teams in the lower half of the table. Millwall ended off their form with a fantastic, emphatic win even against Sheffield Wednesday before the international break started. It was of course their first game with their new manager Joe Edwards in charge, and it was night and day for what I saw with Millwall. I think it was their best performance of the season. I know it's a little bit difficult to judge it when you're facing Sheffield Wednesday, no disrespect to them, but based on what they were able to show in an attacking sense, it was sensational. And I do think they can go into this game against Coventry with a little bit of confidence, because Coventry, I've got to be honest, whilst they have gone to some great positions, I think about when they drew their last game against Stoke, and then with their defeats even, you know, when they had those 4 defeats in a row, they weren't particularly smashed. They just had a situation where they were open one too many times and just not taking their chances. And I do think if Coventry cannot grasp any confidence with their new forward line, then they're going to continuously have these issues and put some pressure on Mark Robins as well. And as a prediction here, I have a little bit more confidence in Millwall, actually, strangely enough. I think it's very difficult to judge, you know, teams after an international break, a long period away. I think this sort of game week is the most difficult game week to predict, and you could very easily see like a Huddersfield scraping a win, or Coventry, a team not doing well in form, and just sneak a win. But for me, I'm going to back Millwall. They're the team I'm a little bit more confident with a narrow 1-0 win. I don't see many goals in this game. I do think it's going to be a little bit cagey, but I think Millwall will have the chance and make it count. And Coventry, again, will gain some good positions and, you know, will regret missing their chances. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Norwich going up against QPR. Wow. So, Norwich managed to get a win just before the international break. I've got to be honest, I think David Wagner is a very lucky man to still be Norwich City manager. Based on all the Norwich fans I've spoken to around in my office, they have really grown impatient of Daniel Wagner, and I think I'm just as shocked as I am that he's still in charge. So he's got a lot to prove still, and it did feel that with that Cardiff game, no matter what the result was, it felt like that he would have been dismissed and Norwich would have had a full international break to get someone in, but they haven't done it. They have stuck with him. So maybe they see something that most of us have not seen with Norwich in the moment, because they are leaking so many goals right now. But with that Cardiff game, they actually got everything together regarding an attacking sense, and if that's going to have to be how Norwich play, which is outscoring the opposition, they definitely have the players that can do that. Against QPR, Cifuentes has had 2 games at QPR with 2 draws, so I think they'll be a little bit happy with that. And the fact that Huddersfield aren't picking up points right now, even if QPR do amass more points than Huddersfield and close the gap on them, I do think that's good progress for Cifuentes, and he's not got a huge gap to breach, to be honest with you. So, I think with this game, I think both teams will score. You know, QPR have really been a team struggling to score, but based on Norwich's really leaky back line, I will be very surprised if QPR can't score. But I think on the attacking play that Norwich can do, I think they may squeak out a 2-1 home win. I think it's going to be close, but I think Norwich will just have enough. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Plymouth going up against Sunderland. Now, this could be a cracking game. I've been really entertained with both of these sides this season, actually. And I think Plymouth at home have proven to be a really tough team for every single team going into home part this season. And I don't think Sunderland will be an exception, considering the mile journey that they're going to have to make going from 2 opposite ends of the United Kingdom. So, if Sunderland can pack an amazing away following, it will be absolutely atmospheric going into this game. I think it's going to be very tough for this Sunderland team, but going into this game, I do see both of these teams having their positives and their flaws going into this one. I do think Sunderland have been a little bit leaky as of late. Plymouth at home have been a bit hit and miss about how they would play in terms of their defensive performance, but they've always given teams a difficult game and have scored way more home goals than they have done on the road. So as a prediction here, I have a sneaky feeling we're going to get 5 goals in this game. Could easily end as a draw, but I'm going to go for a Sunderland 3-2 away win. Now, Plymouth have not lost a lot of home games this season, but I do think this is going to be one of those ones where Plymouth really hit out and attack them. But I do think Sunderland may have a couple of match-winning players that could take the game away from them. I'm thinking Joe Bellingham and Jack Clark especially, who played tremendously well against Birmingham recently. And I do think if they are available here, I think they can really play a massive part. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game of the day is Preston versus Cardiff. Now, Preston and Cardiff are not separated by a lot. Cardiff will be wanting to get into the top 6, and they'll be eyeing up Preston to try and close the gap on them. There's only 4 points that separates both of these teams, and a win for Cardiff, depending on how results go, they could find themselves within the top 6, and as I say, only 1 point behind Preston North End as well. But Preston will be wanting to win to try and sustain their form. They actually ended their form before the international break with back-to-back wins after losing a good streak of games in a row. So going into this game, I do see Preston a little bit in a better place than what they were a couple of game weeks back. I do think Cardiff away from home have not been as reliable as home. So I think I'm going to back Preston. I backed them a couple of times at home, and I think it's going to be tight again. It's going to sound quite repetitive, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to Preston. I think they could squeeze a very, very narrow home win here. So I'm going to go 2-1 to North End. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game today is Stoke versus Blackburn. So Stoke are going into this game in 14th place, also joint with Watford with 21 points, with them facing Blackburn. They are in 12th place and actually only 1 point ahead of them, so not much is separating both of these teams. I think for me, Stoke have improved. They have definitely looked a lot more of a unit. They've looked more organised. Blackburn, I think going forward, have looked quite good. I'm thinking back to that terrific away performance against Norwich City. But I do see them at times, when things don't go well, they do lack that experience to dig deep and get something. And I do think if Stoke can frustrate Blackburn for long enough, I think the more likely they could get something. As a prediction, I'm going to go for both teams to cancel each other out and go for a 1-1 draw. It could easily end with one of them winning by 1-0. It does have that feeling that there'll be very few goals. But for me, I think it should be a draw. So therefore, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Swansea going up against Hull City. Again, I think this is going to be really close. I think we've got some really, really close games this weekend. And this game is definitely no exception. Swansea going into this game with 2 games where they've both had people sent off, so they'll be hoping that they can sort out their disciplinary record, and both games which I felt that they could have definitely got something out of if they just kept all 11 men on the pitch. You know, Sunderland, they had a penalty miss, they were down to 10 men for the majority of that game, and Sunderland still couldn't find a way to score past them. Swansea with Ipswich, you know, they were already 3-1 down at that time, but the fact that they did go down to 10 men just really didn't help any sort of chances they had to potentially get something out of that game. So it's essential for Swansea that they keep all the players on the pitch and they just maintain their confidence that they had at home, because they did have a good amount of home form before they slumped their form a little bit. Hull have been in general really competitive in terms of a top part of the championship. They are actually joint on points on Sunderland and are only out of the top 6 on goal difference. So a really emphatic win for Hull City here could really project them into a really commanding position within the top 6. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a draw. Something tells me that we're going to see Hull with majority of the ball. They struggled a little bit against Huddersfield to break them down, and it took a really late goal from Liam Dunlap to get something here. Swansea, I think, will make it similarly frustrating. They managed to frustrate Sunderland to a 0-0 draw, and I think we'll get the same here. I'm going to go for a 0-0 draw between both of these teams. I have a feeling they're both going to draw, and for me, I just think this game's the more likely game out of the 12 to end 0-0. So this is going to be my pick for the 0-0 draw this weekend. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. The final game to predict is West Brom versus Ipswich. This, for me, is the toughest prediction that I've made this week at least, and probably in the last couple of weeks or so. West Brom are going into this game in terrific form. Their home form has been fantastic. I know they did lose out against Southampton before the international break, but I actually think their performance was really, really good. So West Brom have been consistently performing well, but not necessarily getting the results out of it. They've been getting more consistent results at home. Ipswich Town, their form has almost been flawless. They are 8 points clear of Leeds United at the moment, but having said that, they have not managed to win in their last 2 away games, I believe, both ending in 2-2 draws. And I do think West Brom will feel quite encouraged about that they could potentially get something in this game. I won't lie, I am not very confident in Ipswich. I don't know why. I just have a feeling that West Brom, based on how well they're playing at the moment, I do think they are actually more likely, in my opinion, to get a result than what Ipswich are, despite Ipswich being so far ahead in the table. I was thinking 2-1 West Brom, believe it or not, but I'm actually going to change my mind last minute, and I'm going to back Ipswich to get a draw. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Not ideal with the fact that Leeds are winning, but I think they're really just going to try and take each game as it goes at the moment. They have got such a tough run, Ipswich. They've still got Norwich, they've got Leeds to play in the week after, and they have Leicester still to play as well. All within a couple of days apart within the December period and Christmas period. So Ipswich are definitely going to have it really, really tough, and they're really just going to have to take one tough game at a time. I think this is one of their tougher games as well coming up, and I do think they have the capability of at least getting a draw, and I think that is why I'm going to predict it. Let me know what you think, however, in the comments down below. So guys, that wraps it up for my score predictions. If you guys agree, let me know in the comments down below, and as always guys, to remind you, make sure you comment your score predictions for the championship as well, so you guys can enter into the Leicester's Football Prediction League. So that'll wrap it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, please smash the like button. It really does help the growth of this channel. Please hit the subscribe button too if you've not done so. It really helps. And please share the channel too. All these things really do help as well. If you guys want to follow my socials, they're down there. Instagram and of course Twitter as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary if you saw the end of this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care everyone.